Hi, and welcome along to the sneak peek look behind the scenes, behind the cover of the Live Well Life Planner. Now, this will be really useful if you've never had a planner before and you're curious about what it contains and what's on the pages. So let's dive on in. Now, there's some introductory pages to get us started and set the scene, and we're getting to section 1. Now, I just want to give you a quick recap or overview of these sections. So section 1 is the wrap up. This is where we look back over the year that's been, so in this case 2025, and we go through some prompts and some reflection to wrap up the year that's been. Then in the second section, we turn our attention to the year ahead. So we're going to be thinking about 2026, and we look at what we want and what we want to focus on, what our priorities are, how we want life to be. So there's quite a bit of thinking and writing in that space. Section 3 is all about taking a look at the whole year. And then section number 4, which is where you'll spend most of the time throughout the year, is where we take a look at what's going on in the months, weeks, and days. Let me show you a few of the pages just to give you an idea. So I mentioned about section 1 where we review and wrap up the year that's been. So here are a couple of the pages in this section where I guide you through looking for what's happened in the year that's been, and we look for what went well and what didn't go well. And if you've done any work with me before, you'll recognize this as the start of the 4-step reset process. So there is some space for you to write, draw, add photos, whatever is going to be helpful for you to wrap up the year. So that's an example of what you'll find in that section. Now this is section 2, reset your focus. And here we've got some more questions, some more prompts, some things to get you thinking about how you want 2026 to be. And it's not just about what you're doing, because that's only part of the equation. This is also about how you want to be showing up and what's important to you. So that takes you through that section, and I can promise you those pages do not look like that in your planner. So we wrap up this section by looking at our goals and priorities. Now it's really important not to jump into those first, because what we do is we set the scene. We wrap up the year that's been, we start to envision what we want for 2026, and then we distill out our goals and priorities. Now, section 3 I mentioned is about the whole view, and this is where we take a look at the year in its totality. Is that a word? I think it is. We take a look at the whole year. And one of my favorite planning tools is this year at a glance. So what we do is we map out all the key milestones, key activities, birthdays, celebrations, maybe you're going on holiday, maybe you've got some significant pieces of work you're doing. So I use this for life and business. So I have a mix of all of that in here, and at a glance I can see what's coming up throughout the year. I can get prepared. I can maybe shuffle things if I feel like any of the months are getting too full. It is an incredible tool. Now, as I said, here we go. We are into section 4, which is where you'll spend the bulk of the time throughout the year. This is the monthly planning section, but as you'll see in a moment, it breaks things down into from monthly into weekly and into daily. So here every month looks the same. We start with a calendar where you can map out what's happening. I like to put in birthdays, special occasions, any particularly significant meetings, whatever it is that I feel is important. I put in there things to be done, some notes. I just put them all in this space, and this is the beauty of the planner. It's very usable, so keep it out, keep it handy, write in all the time, and I find it helps me avoid having random bits of paper everywhere. Now we move across to the reset for January, where we look at our intention and our goals and priorities, our habits to focus on, our boundaries to hold, and our guidance, inspiration, affirmations, or mantras, whatever you prefer to call them. But we're really setting the scene for the month ahead, okay? This is getting us ready consciously, intentionally for the month ahead. Then we have this layout for all the weeks. We come into our intention. So this is how we want to be, how we want to feel. We look at our goals and priorities, and then we just map out the week, what's going on throughout the week. Now, you might use it like I do, where I actually write in my appointments, because I have them electronically, but I find writing them down really helps me to get clarity about what the week's what's going on in the week and what I need to prepare and what changes I might need to make. And then at the end of the week, we go through a process of wrapping it up. Now I'm just going to flick through a few pages until we get to here. So this is at the end of January. And again, we're going through this process of wrapping up the month. So you'll be seeing and hearing a pattern, won't you? Where we wrap up what's been, we release what no longer serves us, and then we reset for the future. So this is that 4-step reset process that you might have heard me talk about, you might have done with me. It's a really, really powerful process. So we do this at the end of the month, and then we move into the new month. Sorry, and I forgot to say that every month starts with some words of inspiration. And if you're in the real membership with me, I usually refer to these messages and we talk a little bit about, well, what does that mean and what's it going to look like in the month ahead? So the planner carries on in much the same format from there. So it is a powerful tool for helping you be intentional. Rather than getting caught up in all the busyness and thinking, oh my God, where did those days and weeks and years go? You're much more intentional about, okay, this is what I'm focusing on. Now, if you grab a planner, you'll also get an invite to a planning session where I'm going to take you through some of the tips and tricks and processes for planning. It isn't as daunting as some people might think it is, and it does sometimes get painted as being hard and complicated, and that's not necessarily true. It does not have to be like that. It can be fun, it can be enjoyable, and it can certainly help you create the life you want to live. If you have any questions about the planner, what's inside it, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer those. And remember, pre-orders need to be in by Sunday, which I think is the 12th, or is it the 11th? It's the Sunday anyway. This Sunday is the last day to pre-order.